Hey guys, it's Logan. I had a friend mention to me that I should do a pregnancy journey video, and so I'm going to try and make my way through it from the very beginning where we started until up until the day I had my daughter. So if you guys care to watch and want to hear my journey, stay tuned. Okay, so me and my husband got together September of 2014. We officially started dating today 3 years ago, and by that next October of 2015 we were engaged. We set our wedding date for May 21st of 2016, and then we found out that we were pregnant in January of 2015, and we also lost our first baby that same month. It was very hard on us, and I still have trouble today coping with that. And anyways, so after we got through that, it was very hard. That happened on January 19th, and when I first found out I was pregnant, I kind of knew, but I kind of didn't know what was going on because I was having severe stomach pains, and I thought, honestly, I thought I had kidney stones or something along those lines. I wasn't really sure. So I went to my regular doctor, and the first thing she said was, let's do a pregnancy test. So me thinking to myself, you know, I know it's gonna be negative, but what the heck, why not? So we did the pregnancy test, and sure enough, she walked in and she said, when was your last menstrual cycle? And I said, you know, honestly, I'm not sure. And she was like, well, you're definitely pregnant. And I just kind of sat there like, what? What'd you say? So as soon as I left there, I called my sister and I'm like, hey, can I come over? I need to tell you something. So I rushed straight to her house, and I sat down on her couch, and I didn't even know what to say, but I just looked at her and I just started bawling. And I said, Erin, I'm pregnant. And she was like, what? She was so excited. I was so excited, but I was also scared to death because I had been bleeding. I had been having really bad stomach pains, like I had said. Anyways, so we decided that we were gonna go shopping to find me something to surprise my husband with, to tell him that we were expecting a baby. So we went to Walmart and we found this cute little picture frame that said, usually you put like an ultrasound in it or something, and then it said, I don't really remember what it said. It was just a little heart frame. Anyways, so I got a piece of paper and I put it in there, and I said, baby Myers due in September of 2016 or 2015. So, or 20, I guess it was 26. Let me think about this. My years are all confused. It was 2016 that we were due, I think. Anyways, so I waited for him to get home. He kept asking me, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And I kept saying, no, Zach, no, I'm not pregnant. I promise I'm not pregnant. When I really was. But, so anyways, he came home and I had my phone out recording, and I told him I had the picture frame sitting in my lap with the pregnancy test in front of it, and he saw it, and we both just immediately started crying because we were so excited. And anyways, so he said, well, is there something wrong since you're bleeding? And I said, well, my doctor doesn't think so, but I'm gonna call my OBGYN, you know, the next day and tell them that I had gotten a positive pregnancy test and I needed to be seen. So the next day comes, I call up there and they got me right in because I was bleeding. So me and my husband went up there and, or no, I went up there for blood work, and 2 days later I went back up there for blood work, and I also saw the doctor, and she said, your levels are extremely low, so that means either you're just barely pregnant or there's something wrong. She said, we're gonna do a repeat blood test today, and I'll call you tomorrow to let you know if there's something wrong or not. So all day, all night, all the next morning, I was panicky, I was freaking out, I was scared to death, but I was saying to myself, maybe I'm just barely pregnant, you know, implantation bleeding, cramping, they said it's normal. So I did that, and then that next day I was at work, and I went on my lunch break, and I had a missed call from my doctor, so I called, or they had left me a voicemail, and they said, I'm so sorry, but you are miscarrying your baby. And my heart kind of just sank. I didn't know what to think, I didn't know what to feel, I didn't know who to go to and tell. I didn't want to tell my husband because I felt like I had failed our family. I didn't want to tell my parents, I didn't want to tell my sisters. The only person I could think to tell was my grandma. She happened to work with me at the time, and she was at work, and I was crying so hard that I couldn't look at anybody. I couldn't even hardly catch my breath. So I told her, and my boss said, go home, take the rest of the week off, don't worry about it, don't worry about coming back to work, just take time for yourself. So that gave me about a week to kind of recoup and to kind of just deal with all of my emotions and just worry about, you know, focus on myself for a little bit. So fast forward a couple months, the end of March comes, and I find out that I'm pregnant again. We're excited. I'm trying to be excited, but I'm also scared to death. I didn't know if the same thing was going to happen again, but we were getting so close to our wedding date that I just didn't even want to think about it. I said, just, you know, we'll focus on our wedding. Our wedding shower was in a week. Not even that, like just a couple days. So anyways, on April 2nd was our wedding shower, and on April 9th I miscarried again, and I didn't know why. I was told, you know, my progesterone levels were extremely low. I also had found out that I had a bicornuate uterus, which I didn't know what that was, but it's like a heart-shaped uterus where your uterus kind of has two horns, two sides to it, and it's very hard for a baby to implant there. So we kind of dealt with that. It was kind of like a repeat of the first one, you know, we didn't know what was wrong. And my doctor said, you know, if you have another one, then I'm going to do a blood panel on you, and we're going to figure out why you keep losing your babies. I was getting into such a deep depression that I didn't even want to get out of bed. I didn't care if I woke up the next day. And I did not want to feel like that a month before my wedding. You know, we were getting married on May 21st, and here it was April, and I was once again feeling like I was failing my family. So fast forward, you know, we get married, everything's good. We kind of both agreed, you know, let's wait. We're not going to try anymore. I don't want to try anymore. And come June, we found out that we were pregnant again. We hadn't been trying or anything. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to be looked at. Nothing. So just 1 or 2 times that it happened, I ended up pregnant again. So that was in the 1st of June, and once again, about a week later, after I found out, I miscarried again. So this was my 3rd miscarriage, and by this time, I would have rather been dead. I was so depressed, and I couldn't go through that again. And nobody understood. I didn't understand. I just kept feeling like such a failure to my husband. I mean, I couldn't give him a child. And it wasn't easy because he has 2 kids from a previous relationship, and their mom was horrible to me. She made me feel like I would never be able to carry a child for my husband. She wished upon me, wished a miscarriage upon me more than once. She told me she hoped that it ate at me that she gave him not only his first child, but his second. And then I couldn't even give him a child. I couldn't carry a child. And I know I should ignore that stuff, but when you're losing your own children and you know that someone like that is able to carry a child, not even 1, but now 3, I couldn't get past that. I couldn't deal with the fact that someone so ugly and someone so unworthy, and that they were being, that they got to have kids and I couldn't. That's all I wanted was, to start our family and to provide my husband a child with myself. I wanted our family to feel whole and complete, and I didn't feel like that. I just felt like I was alone. And of course, my husband, he's always been supportive. He's always told me when, God has a plan for us. He has a plan for our family. And if, even if we have to adopt one day, that will be our baby. That will be our kid, God has a plan for us. And that's what he had to keep reminding me of. So after that, I told my husband, I said, I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I cannot lose another baby. If I do, I'm gonna lose myself. And I couldn't keep going through that. Not time and time and time again. It was too hard. It was taking too big of a toll on my body, on my mind, just all around. It was taking a huge toll on me. So I went and I got put on birth control. I started that, and literally, you guys, a week later, I found out I was pregnant again. This was in August. It's August 30th. And we had also just got our house. It was literally the day before we moved into our house when I found out I was pregnant. So this time it was so early. You guys, I was like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks pregnant. The line on the pregnancy test just barely showed up. But this time I felt in my heart, I said, I know this pregnancy is gonna work. I know God has blessed me with this baby for a reason. I was scared to death. I didn't tell anybody for weeks. I didn't go to the doctor for weeks. I didn't want to, because it was like every time I went to the doctor, just a couple days later I would miscarry. Every time I found out I was pregnant and told somebody, a week later, I swear it was like a week, 3 days to a week, that I would end up losing the baby. So that was in August. We had our first ultrasound on October 9th. Or, no. It was September 30th. was my first ultrasound. I was 7 weeks and 2 days pregnant. I saw the heartbeat and I exploded with happiness. It was the best feeling in the entire world. And that was the first time I had got to see my baby. That was the first time out of all my pregnancies that I had got to see my baby with, such a strong heartbeat. Her heartbeat was 177 beats per minute. And it blew my mind. So, I took that and I went home and I was so excited. We found out my due date was May 14th. That was also my mom's birthday. That was 2 days after my stepson's birthday. That was right at our 1-year wedding anniversary. We were so excited. So, fast forward, right at Thanksgiving we found out she was a girl. On Christmas Day we were exactly 20 weeks pregnant. Fast forward to, I was about 35 weeks pregnant and I started having extremely bad dizzy spells. My blood pressure was extremely high. I can't even explain, the feeling I had. I knew there was something wrong, and I was so scared of something happening and me losing my baby again. My doctors wouldn't listen to me. I kept telling them, I know there's something wrong. I know there's something wrong. So finally, they did blood work. My blood work was fine. And he said, let's do a 24-hour urine sample. Bring it in tomorrow morning. Or it was in 2 days. Bring it in, Friday morning. And we will call you with the results. Well, that Friday morning, I woke up and I had slept on the couch that night because I just couldn't get comfortable. I kept getting dizzy. I kept thinking I was gonna get sick. And I was just up and down, and I didn't want to keep waking my husband up. So I slept on the couch. Well, when I woke up that morning, as soon as I stood up, I just fell right back down on the couch. And I told Zach, I said, grab the blood pressure cuff because I know there's something wrong. Y'all, my blood pressure was 163 over 113. When I called the doctor, she said, that's stroke high and you need to come in ASAP. So we went up there. She told me to bring in, the urine sample. They took that. I was monitored for 2 hours. I left about 10:30. I went and I grabbed something to eat. I went to my mom and dad's house. By then it was about 11:30, almost noon. Right when I finished eating, it was like 12:30. The OB called and she said, Logan, your protein levels in your urine are so high, you need to be up here. She said, go home and pack your bags and we'll have everything ready for you when you get here. And she said, but you're gonna be induced today because you have extreme preeclampsia. So I start panicking. I'm at my mom and dad's house and I just start bawling. My dad comes running in there. He's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I couldn't even breathe to tell him what was wrong. All I could say was, we're gonna have a baby. So I called my husband at work and I said, Zach, I need you to meet me at home. It's time to go have a baby. So he was like, what? And he started crying. I was crying. We were both freaking out, but we were so happy. So I met him at home. By the time I got home, you guys, seriously, he had everything packed. It was waiting by the door, ready to go. And he said, let me take a shower and we'll go. So he jumps in the shower. I finished getting everything in the car. I get her car seat, you know, put in the car. Luckily I had her bag and my bag basically all packed already. So we get there, they started me on magnesium sulfate as soon as I got there, because my blood pressure was so high, and that would help me, you know, to not like have a seizure or anything. They did that, and then they started the catheter. They also started me on Cervidil. I had to take that 1 pill, or maybe it was 2 pills, every 6 hours. So I had 4 rounds of that. By the 4th round, I was still only dilated to like a 1.5. But my doctor was like, you know, that's good enough. You're progressing at least. You're thinning out. We'll go ahead and start Pitocin. They started me on Pitocin, and he gave me a shot of Stadol so that I would relax, because I was still kind of panicking and my blood pressure just, it wouldn't stay down. So he started me on the Pitocin. That was about, heck, I don't even know what time it was. Anyways, so when he started me on that, they gave me this shot of Stadol, you know, I rested for a couple hours. When I woke up, I was at a 3, I believe. So they gave me a peanut ball, which is kind of like, it's like a ball that goes, it's like a yoga ball, it feels like, but it goes between your legs, and it's shaped like, literally it's shaped like a peanut. And that's supposed to help you, your hips kind of spread, and it helps you the baby to drop. So anyway, so I slept with, I had that for between my legs for about 4 hours. But after I slept for about 2 with it. Yeah, it was like the first 2 hours I was awake, and then the next 2 hours I was asleep. And when I woke up, it was about, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning maybe. No, it was right at 5 in the morning. And I called the nurse because I thought I had peed myself. You know, I had the catheter in and I just felt something warm, but I also had just got that urge to pee, so I was thinking, crap, I just peed on myself. That's embarrassing. So I called the nurse, and she was like, okay, well, let's, you know, check and make sure it's not your water. So I was like, okay. So she checked that, and she was like, oh yeah, it's definitely your water. And as soon as I sat all the way up, it was just like a big gush. It just came gushing out. It was the craziest thing. Well, my mom was asleep on the couch, and my husband was asleep, poor him, on the floor. And we had, I kept throwing stuff at him, saying, Zach, wake up, Zach, wake up. You know, my water just broke. Well, finally, my mom comes like shooting up off the couch, and she's like, what, your water broke? And then that's when Zach woke up, and he was like, oh my god, we gotta call the nurse. And I'm like, y'all, I already did that. So anyway, so they called, the nurse came back in, and she's like, we're gonna check you to see what you're at. And by that time I was at like a 5, maybe a 5.5. So she was like, you know, when you want your epidural, you need to let us know, because it'll take about 30 minutes. So I was like, okay. Well, at that point, I mean, I was having contractions, but they weren't so strong I couldn't handle them. Well, by about, I don't know, 6 o'clock or so, maybe not even then, I started to call, because I knew that, sorry, there was somebody pull up to me. So anyways, by about that time, it was about 6 o'clock, and maybe 5:45, I don't really remember. That's when I was like, okay, I think it's about time to get the epidural. I didn't have a choice to get it. I wanted to have her naturally, but since my blood pressure would not stay down and they couldn't get it to kind of like levelize, I didn't have a choice. I had to get it. So it was about, I don't know, whatever time. They gave me the epidural. And about, by the time they laid me back down, I think I was at like a 5.5, between a 5.5 and 6. I still hadn't dilated anymore, really. Well, at 7 o'clock, I was still at, I think I was at a 7, and I stayed at a 7 until like 8:30, 8:45, and then literally from 8:45 to like 5 minutes later, I was at a 10, and I was like, we had to wait for her to drop, but that happened so fast. Before the doctor was even in there, I said, I have to push. She's coming now, I have to push. So I started pushing, and 15 minutes later, it was 9:01 a.m. and she was here. She was 6 pounds and 10 ounces. She was 19.5 inches long, and y'all, she was the prettiest and most amazing thing I'd ever seen, I've ever done in my whole life. I knew that God made me to be her mom. I knew that He waited to give me such a perfect baby. I won't ever be able to thank Him enough for blessing me with Harper. I just couldn't even, like, I didn't have an ounce of pain. I didn't care about anything else but her. I still, to this day, y'all, she is the only thing I'm worried about. I don't care if I starve. I don't care if I freeze to death. I will always go to the end of the earth for my little girl. I will always love and protect her. I will always make sure that she never feels unloved, that she never feels like she's not good enough, or that she never feels alone. I will always be there. I know her dad will always be there. He will always be there to protect her, to provide for her, to love her unconditionally. And she loves her daddy. Their relationship is so cute. It's one of those things that, you know, out of every negative thing that happens in this world, and every negative thing that's ever went wrong in my life, you know, the 3 babies we lost, it all made sense. It was all worth it. It just, nothing else matters now. You know, she's here. We have her. She's a perfect, healthy 8-month-old now, which is crazy to even think that it's been 8 months since I had her, since that, you know, the best. I just can't even, like, it's hard. It's, you know, losing babies is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I never ever want to go through that again. I don't think we will have any more babies. I feel personally like our family is whole now. We have 2 wonderful boys. You know, Liam and Bryce are the best big brothers to Harper, and they love her so much, and it's so cute to see all them play together. And I just couldn't even imagine, you know, adding another baby to our family. You know, I don't know, it's crazy, but I don't think I couldn't even deal with, I don't know, I just couldn't even deal with it. If something were to go wrong, I would just be done. It's just scary. It scares me. It's scary to even think about happening. I just feel like our family is complete, and I'm so glad that, you know, God gave us this opportunity and made me her mom. I know that's what I was made for, and I just to think that everything I went through and all the pain I went through, the amount of joy that I have in my heart now it's overwhelming. It's an indescribable feeling that I have now. But that is our journey. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'm sorry, I know I broke down a million times, but this literally is the hardest thing for me to talk about. I never really talk about my feelings. I never really open up. I've never told anybody our story. So I did that just kind of to get it off my chest, but also just because I feel like it's time to open up and let people in and let people see a side of me that I've never shown before. I've never been able to show before. I've never been able to open up, and I'm not an emotional person. I don't talk about my feelings. It's a very hard subject for me to even think about, let alone talk about. And I hope for everybody out there who's ever been through this, who's ever experienced a loss, who's ever felt like they were alone in these situations, that you're not. You are strong and you are worthy of a baby. And whether that's, from you conceiving and carrying a child yourself, or if you are able to love a child that wasn't able to be loved, by their biological parents, that's just it's such an amazing thing. Being a parent is the best thing in the entire world. It's, like I said, it's such an indescribable feeling that I don't even know how to explain the way that I feel. But I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video, and again, I'm sorry, I know I broke down a million times. But if you want, hit the like and subscribe button, and please feel free to let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. If you need someone to talk to, I am always here. I am always open. My arms are always open. I know exactly what you're going through, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the hardest thing I've ever been through, and so if I can help someone else, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm opening up, because I felt alone. I felt like nobody understood me. I felt like nobody had been through what I had been through. But like I said, if you guys like my video, subscribe to me. I'm going to try and keep up, a month by month check with Harper. I'll try and do it. I'm gonna try and upload videos as frequently as I can. Life gets crazy with 3 kids, and being a stay-at-home mom. I also work, so days are kind of crazy and jumbled up, and sometimes time gets the best of me, and so I will try to keep you guys. I will keep trying to upload videos for you guys, and thank you for watching.